Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Always Out of Market podcast. This week we have our first full episode with a full slate of NFL games. Finally, we've made it to the regular season. Finally, we can stop talking about random bullshit. We can finally start getting on to the real nitty gritty news. I'm going to be one of your co hosts today, Gavin Sorbert. And alongside me today, we also have Ryan, Steven, and Jason. Missing a few of the cast, but it's all right. We've still got all the good opinions, good news, and good jokes that you love to hear. Say hi, everybody.
NFL is
Hello.
back.
So
NFL is
excited.
back.
We
So
are back.
yeah, we're all
So
very
excited.
excited.
I'm giddy with anticipation for this coming week, honestly, or tomorrow.
Guys,
So
in less than 24 hours, the noon games will have kicked off.
it's awesome.
We've also already had one game that's been memed to absolute hell because of Kadarius Toney, and so it's been
Yeah.
great. I'm so happy.
So we're gonna start with news, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Thursday night football game, Chiefs versus Lions, because that was quite a game to watch. And then we'll talk about our fantasy league, some moves that we made after our draft, because a lot of our teams did change. I made one notable cut that the name has already been brought up, and I'm glad I didn't keep him on my team, being Kadarius Toney. And then we'll go through and do our picks for the games this week. So, all right, Jason, start us off.
All right. So we had we're a little stacked on news since we didn't cover anything last week. I've cut out a decent bit of what happened. I'm only covering the really big stuff that happened. The first one we'll start with is Mike Evans gave the Buccaneers a deadline of today, September 9th, to give him a contract extension since he's in the last year of his contract. Obviously, nothing has happened yet that we've seen, so it looks like this will be his last year playing with the Buccaneers, whether it be he gets traded or becomes a free agent and signs with another team after this season. We'll see. I'm assuming the Buccaneers are gonna look for a trade come October. I can name a few teams that need a wide receiver, one of those being Chiefs. So
Apparently, yeah.
we'll see where he goes later this year, if he goes anywhere.
God, if he goes to the Chiefs, that's too much. He's too good to be on the Chiefs.
Like I said, they don't have a good receiver apparently, so I mean,
They need that. They need to be that to be even with the rest of the fucking league. So
let's see. We're gonna save injuries for when we're talking about the games themselves that the players play for.
Yeah.
Except I thought I should bring up this one in particular outside of that being Von Miller. He has been put on the PUP list, so he's going to miss at least 4 games to start the season for the Bills. Which is
not good.
Yeah, we've already talked about it earlier in the offseason that Von Miller is a crucial part of that defense. So not a good start to the season for the Bills, losing him for 4 games. But we'll see where they're at. I mean, the Bills are still a good team, I think.
They got a big game this week too, so
Yeah.
versus the Jets.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a handful of trades. None really that big. The Broncos and the Titans both traded for kickers last week. The Broncos got Will Lutz from the Saints. The Titans got Nick Folk from the Patriots. Both of those were for 7th round picks in future drafts. Nothing really crazy with that.
We fucking dropped the ball with kickers for real. Because
Yeah.
we had 2 kickers that were not looking good. They cut both of them. They brought in Michael Badgley, and he was just as bad. They cut him too, and now we got Nick Folk. So, what are we doing with the kicker situation? We waited way too late into the season, in the off season, to get the kicker situation figured out.
It's one of those things where it's the kicker is one of the least valuable, positions in football these days. So
according to like the business side of things, but
Yeah,
as far
yeah.
as scoring, they're very important.
they win or lose games, but they're very
Yeah.
important.
No,
but obviously, as you see, the Titans and the Broncos, it's not just the Titans, put getting a kicker on the back burner, and it really bit them in the end. So we'll see how that works out for both of our teams. I'm a little worried about it, to be honest.
Me too.
Let's see. We got the Eagles traded for Broncos tight end Albert O. I'm not going to say his last name because I don't know how to say it. He was on my team, and I still don't know how to say it.
Obolonyo.
Nope, that's not quite it.
I definitely don't think that's right.
I don't even have it in front of me. I don't know what it is. So I was just a complete guess.
I think it's Okwebanam, I think is how it's pronounced, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't even know what we got in return for that. I think it's probably a 6th or 7th round pick. Nothing crazy. And that's because we had 4 tight ends on our roster, and he was actually worth something, so we traded him. The last trade I've got is the Dolphins traded cornerbacks with the Cowboys. Gavin, do you know how to say this guy's last name?
Noah Igbenogany.
Yep, that one.
Man, yeah.
Yeah,
That's hard to say.
he went to the Cowboys. The Dolphins got Kelvin Joseph in return. I don't know if that is helpful to the Dolphins or not. That would be something to talk to Gavin about.
It's a big, I can't say big upgrade because the reason the Cowboys got rid of him because he wasn't playing well for them either. Benogany was a first round pick, supposed to be DeAndre Swift in that draft. I know you guys know about the Twitter people that will leak draft news right before whenever they make the pick. Dolphins had the card signed for DeAndre Swift. And then they got a call from a certain team. It was the Packers to trade up that spot. Whenever the Packers traded up, they selected Jordan Love. And for some reason, when we traded back, they changed their mind about DeAndre Swift and decided to take this freaking wide receiver turned corner out of Auburn at the 31 slot. Was just never panned out. He never was a lockdown guy like he was supposed to be that you would want in a first round corner. Wasn't really great on special teams either. So hopefully he's able to find a good spot for him in a new home. I mean, he's got 2 great lockdown corners around him. So maybe sticking him in the slot will do good for his career. But he just didn't pan out for us. We'll see what Kelvin Joseph's able to do for the Dolphins in the coming future, though. Hopefully he's good on special teams because probably what we're going to need him for.
Well, I guess we can see what happens tomorrow, see if he plays any. All right, that's it for trades. That's it for big injuries that need to be talked about outside of talking about the games themselves. Now we do have some extensions to talk about. Some very big extensions. First, we're going to start with the smallest of all of those, and we're going to stick with the Dolphins. Fullback Alec Ingold signed a 3-year, $17.2 million deal. I think that I saw that made in the top paid fullback in the AFC, I think.
It did. It did indeed.
So you guys must think very highly of him. It's not often you see a fullback sign a deal like that. So
we don't really talk about fullbacks much anymore at all.
Yeah,
a lot of teams don't have them.
He's getting his bag. I'll tell you that. I mean, obviously nothing compared to what we see for wide receivers and quarterbacks these days, but he's getting paid more than some of these running backs are. So
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I mean, think highly of him. We'll see. I've never even heard of him. So
yeah, how do you feel about it, Gavin?
I like him. He gives us that run block ability that we actually needed in the run game. If you guys remember, Mike McDaniel came from the 49ers as the run game coordinator before he ended up being head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So what he did now is he's trying to build up the ability to have a good ground and pound game. I wish we would have probably went around the route of getting better running backs for it or possibly improving the run blocking on our offensive line in free agency. But what we did is we did get rid of Mike Gesicki, the receiving tight end type players, kept bringing in more blocking tight ends. Now we're paying the fullback that was able to lead the way for a lot of good runs last season. We'll see. It's probably a good philosophy change for the Dolphins. We'll see how it pans out.
I think the Broncos are headed in that same direction too with Sean Payton. He's brought in tight ends that are specifically for blocking. We don't have a fullback that is notable, at least, but I think a lot of teams are going to wind up moving to that. I mean, maybe not a lot. But
if the Dolphins can get a better run game too, that'll take a lot of pressure off of Tua, which is definitely needed.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let's see. We'll move over to the Vikings. Tight end TJ Hawkinson signed a 4-year, $68.5 million extension, and he is now the highest paid tight end in NFL history. Massive extension for a really good player.
Who has Hawkinson? Is it you, Ryan?
It's me.
Yep. He stole him off from under me right before I was about to pick him, too.
It wasn't really stealing. It was...
You stole him. He was in my possession. He's in my possession.
It was inaccurate.
Yeah, I mean, huge for the Vikings. He's going to be one of Kirk Cousins' top targets besides Justin Jefferson. I mean...
Hi, Ember.
Yeah, my dog... Sorry about my dog running around. She's playing with her new toys. It has got her some new toys this morning, so...
Dogs bring in views. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There she goes. Chewing away.
Let's see. We got a holdout is over. 49ers, Nick Bosa.
Thank God.
Finally has signed his extension. It's a 5-year, $170 million extension, including $122.5 million guaranteed. Massive deal. As you saw, Ryan is not happy that he is going to be there for at least 5 more years, being in division.
Did they waive any of the fines that he would have had for missing practices and stuff? I didn't actually hear if they did any of that.
I'm going to assume that it was in the contract to waive them.
Well, especially with him being on a rookie contract, they're able to waive a bunch of or him previously being on the rookie contract.
Yeah,
they're able to waive the fines. But I feel like they're probably going to, just because it's like, we got to have Bosa. I mean, he's basically the foundation behind the 49ers defense. So
yeah,
I'm happy about it as a fan of Bosa's play and him basically giving me credit, making me look like I was smart last season for picking him in the midseason awards. But that was about the only thing I got right last year. But obviously, I understand, Ryan, you're probably not.
Yeah, I'm not happy. So, I mean, obviously, it was the right move for the 49ers. But it's annoying because now we have this amazing new, defensive lineman, basically, in the 49ers, where we just, finally, we've had to deal with Aaron Donald for years in the Rams, and he's finally getting a little older. But now we have fucking Nick Bosa on another team to deal with in our division. I want the NFC West to not have one team or star-studded fucking defensive linemen. That'd be nice. That's the goal, honestly, in the league. If you hear the 49ers, Rams, and Cardinals, Rams and 49ers, you need to take the Cardinals lead and just be the Cardinals, honestly.
Everybody tank for Caleb Williams this year. Let's do
exactly.
it.
I don't foresee that happening anytime in the near future, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so.
And we got one more extension. Everybody knows what it is. Joe Burrow finally signed his extension, 5 years, $275 million, with $219 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid player in history.
The most fashionable quarterback has even more money to buy more fashionable.
Have you ever heard of Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Oh my God! No,
come on.
I mean, yes, I have, because he played for every team, including the Titans. So yes, I know he is.
I mean, that's a massive contract, more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be about $260 if he signed an extension.
I feel like obviously he's a great quarterback. I feel like that type of money should be earned after Super Bowl win. I mean, I know they need to keep him around, but still, he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. He hasn't even made a Super Bowl yet, has he?
He played in the Super Bowl versus the Rams.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
and we got to remember the Rams, they went all in that year, and they're now having to pay the price. So Absolutely. At least, and the big thing is, of course, I think Burrow can get one. I just hope it's soon, because this contract is really going to hurt them on the salary cap and stuff eventually.
Yeah.
So they've got to have kind of a win now.
That's a gamble for in the next 2 years, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because
3 wide receiver ones on that roster right now that they're going to have to pay big. So
I don't see T. Higgins staying on the team after next year or something, because they're going to have to get rid of him for money reasons.
I can foresee T. Higgins being traded around the draft next year.
Yeah,
for draft capital, because I mean they're gonna pay Jamar Chase. That'll be the one wide receiver that they will keep for sure is Jamar Chase. So, and he's gonna get a crazy contract like this as well. So those two players alone with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are gonna take up so much salary cap that they're gonna have either. I mean, you're gonna worry about the offensive line getting paid. And then you're going to have to worry about the defense getting paid just in general because your defense is going to fall apart when you're having to make cuts and shit to make room for all this money you're paying the offense. So, I mean, obviously happy for him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a fuck ton of money. I don't know what I would do with $275 million.
These quarterback contracts, they're just going to just keep going up too.
Imagine what Patrick Mahomes is going to get.
I don't know.
He's not getting repaid for like 7 more years, so.
Yeah,
but imagine what it's going to be when he does get a new contract.
I don't know. He's kind of old at that point.
I mean, he's really young right now.
He's really young, old. But he's not. He's a great quarterback, obviously. But I feel like he's going to be in his. What is he going to be at least 30 now? When the contract is signed again.
I think he's like 33.
Yeah, he'll be older, but I still think he'll be good. But yeah, there's a good chance that Patrick Mahomes is going to be bumped up quite a lot because he already took more of a team friendly contract before, right?
Yeah,
so,
he did.
It's hilarious to think about whenever you say that he took a $500 million contract and it was team friendly.
Well, compared to these other ones, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
when do you think we're gonna go ahead?
Go around.
When do you think we're gonna have? What year is it gonna be when there's the first $1 billion contract?
I mean, it's gonna be a while because the salary cap's got to be high enough for it.
2044.
I mean, it's probably not that far away, but
it's just gonna depend on how quickly they rise the salary cap limits to.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say at least 10 years, at least. I don't see it any time before that, unless they exponentially increase the salary cap in the next few years, but it only goes up by a few million, really, every year.
And are we just sticking in NFL? Because technically Saudi's already offered a couple $1 billion contracts to soccer players, so I guess technically you could say now we've already seen it.
Yeah, we have seen a football contract that's been that big.
I mean, yeah, technically. Anyway, that's it for news that is not directly game related this week, so we can shift over to
fantasy.
Yeah, fantasy. I couldn't remember if we were doing fantasy or Thursday Night Football first.
Steven's
yeah. Actually, let's talk about Thursday Night Football. That's my bad. I forgot about that. So let's talk about. I think so. Did we all watch the Lions Chiefs game? Yeah, I was kind of in and out because I was working, but yeah. As I mentioned earlier, I did have Kadarius Toney on my team. He was dropped. We'll get to that when we get to the fantasy side of things. But I wasn't gonna play him anyway. It wasn't gonna matter, but he was going to only be a backup for me, but God, now I'm glad I got rid of him because he straight up cost the Chiefs that game. Like,
yeah, that's the storyline of the game. It's Kadarius Toney just absolutely shitting the bed, I feel.
There's two storylines I feel like that should get equal
What's the other one?
Equal talk. The right tackle for the Chiefs lining up behind the line of scrimmage and it not even being close to having his helmet past the waistline or equal to the waistline of the center. And false starting every single play and not getting called for it until it was 4th and 20 at the end of the game for the Chiefs. Then he got called for it and made it 4th and 25.
The rules expert for the commentating kept saying, like, why are they not calling this? Like, even he addressed it on the...
I feel like the referees should be fined for not ever calling that. Like, that is
So I have thought about this a lot since Thursday night because the Chiefs are in my division and I'm not looking forward to the referees favoring the Chiefs like that when they play the Broncos. I don't know how he got away with twitching his leg every play before the play started. Because that should be a false start because you're twitching your leg. You're going to try and the defense is going to jump at some point with you twitching your leg when you're getting ready for the play. I mean, maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. Gavin, if you want to talk about it, since you play on the offensive line.
Yeah, this is Gavin's time to shine right here.
It's one of those things. It's like heard Richard Sherman talk about the Legion of Boom's mindset whenever it came to defensive holding. They would hold on every play. The reason they would do it is their mindset was that the refs can't call it every single play. If they start calling it every single play, now everybody's going to get pissed off at them. So jumping off the line like that, that jump start, I know it's been pointed out more recently. It is something that most NFL tackles that are you consider halfway decent are going to do. Sometimes it looks more egregious than others, but for some reason or another, whenever you have these freaking lightning fast off the ball defensive ends that are just so much more athletic than you, and you have to go backwards to be able to catch them while they're running full speed forward, you're going to have to try and find some little advantage to do. Whenever it came to twitching your leg on the line of scrimmage, yeah, that trick technically should be a false start. Every fucking time it should be a false start. But also, I guess the counter for that is, defensive linemen got to be watching the ball anyway.
Yeah, I get that too.
It's a weird situation. I hope the NFL addresses it, but also I'm worried because if they start really cracking down on it and calling it all the time, every single one of us in this room is going to get pissed off at our star tackle that we have on the team, whichever one that you're happy with. Mike McGlinchey over there for the Broncos. I don't know who for Steven.
I'm about to say who. Who are you talking about? Who's my star tackles? I don't have any.
We don't really have any. But just every tackle that you've sat there and you've watched for some time and you're like, that guy's a dog, you're worried about it now because if they start cracking down on it, those tackles might start getting beat off the edge just a little bit. You're going to have to start seeing quarterbacks step up into the pocket more, which risk them because now they're risking going against these interior defensive linemen that are getting better and better about pushing the guards back into their lap. It's a tough spot. I don't know how to go. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm going to go in favor of the offensive lineman every time. I'm going to try and go with them. Juwan Taylor was just plain scared, though. Like, he was jumping so quickly off the line. You could tell Hutchinson was in his head for a little bit. And I know he's nervous because he's in a team now that actually it matters if you win. Whenever he was playing for the Jaguars, for most of his career, it did not fucking matter if he won his matchup. Jaguars fans are not a very loud fan base. They're not very happy. They don't have a lot going for them. Chiefs fans, being out here in Kansas, near like an hour away from Kansas City, an hour away from KC, Missouri, Chiefs fans are loud, and they are everywhere, and they are winning mindset. Mm-hmm. It is only winning for them. So there's a little bit more added pressure whenever you're going against a guy like that, and you just can't lose that banner game, man.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing about the Chiefs, unrelated to the offensive line. And Jason was mentioning it before we started. Just the wide receiver room for the Chiefs, they have a problem, and them not having Kelsey out there made it very obvious how bad their receiving core is. I mean, we saw in the game there were a lot of times that really the Lions should have been able to get a stop. It's just the fact that Patrick Mahomes is so athletic, and there were several times 3rd and long, he still just had to scramble. But because of how good he is, he was able to convert get the 3rd down conversion. So it could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes out there.
Oh, 100%. Patrick Mahomes, I think that we talk about him in the offseason like a myth, pretty much. Because we just know he's going to be good. Mm-hmm. It's almost every time you watch him, you remember it's like, oh, he is him. He is a dog. He is going to do crazy things that humans aren't supposed to be able to do. You're not supposed to be able to roll out of the pocket, dodge 3 sacks, and then throw a ball 25 yards downfield, perfect throw on the run to a wide receiver that's just going to have bricks for hands.
Yeah, I think I saw the only wide receiver that was thrown to that didn't have a drop for the Chiefs was Sky Moore, and he played very little. So
that last play was to him.
Was it?
He didn't catch that last play. Yeah, that last play was to Sky Moore. That's the one I was just talking about.
Yeah, and he also just wasn't getting open either when he was out there. That was the biggest thing. Is like no one was getting separation at all, and that's the really big problem too.
And I don't want to take anything away from the Lions defense when we're saying the wide receiver room was bad. The Lions defense did play really good.
Yeah, they did. I was surprised at how good they looked, which we all knew Aiden Hutchinson is gonna be. I mean, he's a stud.
He's that dog.
Yeah, he's gonna be that guy. But I mean, I was surprised at how much better the Lions defense looked tonight.
It revamped that secondary, and it really clearly showed.
And
go ahead, Ryan.
So speaking of Aiden Hutchinson, why? I don't know. Maybe it's a common thing. Why the fuck did he have the little like black paint over just one eye, like a fucking battle, like war paint?
He's a big Star Wars fan, and he did like a Star Wars like I don't remember. I guess it's like Anakin Skywalker has some sort of like.
Well, he has a scar over his eye. Yeah,
I think that's my understanding. Is Aiden Hutchinson is like it's got something to do with that. I've
heard it was just for look. Okay, cool. It looked cool. I wasn't sure it was like an actual reason he did all that, but.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I've heard is that it's because of that. He's a big Star Wars guy.
Nice. Well, I like him even more now.
Hey, I told you on your league where you actually have defensive players. I told you to use Aiden Hutchinson.
I don't think he did like that many points. I mean, he great like defensively. Yeah. It's just
I just think overall through the season he'll be worth it.
Oh yeah, he'll be a great player. I just think linebackers gonna get more tackles and crap. So.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. I want to bring up one more thing. And it's the commentary team with Chris Collinsworth. I fucking hate Chris Collinsworth so bad. Y'all have brought it up that I'm a Cowboys meat writer. He does backflips on Patrick Mahomes' dick.
Yeah, he is a Patrick Mahomes meat writer, 100%.
When Mahomes threw that interception, he was immediately defending Patrick Mahomes instead of giving credit to Brian Branch for returning it for a touchdown.
I mean, I would still blame Kadarius Toney for that anyway, because it was
but you should still say it was a good play by Brian Branch. He brought it in with one hand and then returned it for a touchdown.
Yeah.
You got to give credit to the defense, regardless of how it happened, for making the play before you jump on and say, "Oh, that's not Patrick Mahomes' fault." I cannot stand Chris Collinsworth whatsoever.
I mean, we know how he is. Anytime he's commentating for Patrick Mahomes, he's going to talk about him every play.
I mean, much. Yeah, and they brought up Travis Kelce way too much during the game.
Yeah, so
he didn't play.
Speaking of like the commentator and stuff, Travis Kelce, I saw something on like Twitter or whatever that was one of the announcers was like, at the very end of the game, there is an asterisk to this win though for the Lions because Travis Kelce wasn't playing. It's like, no, the fuck there isn't. They won the fucking game. Yeah, Travis Kelce was out. That's not the only reason they fucking won the game.
Injuries happen. You have to deal with that.
You can't put a fucking asterisk on a team's win.
The Lions were missing players too.
Yeah.
They have half their team is out for suspension on gambling. So
yeah,
they were not at 100% either. So the Lions are a contender.
So, but yes, the announcing team did not do great.
No. They did good on calling what was going on with the offensive line on the Chiefs. They called that really good. They talked about it a lot.
To themselves, they weren't great at.
Well, no, but
anyway, are y'all ready to move on?
Yeah,
let's move on to fantasy.
So, talk about the more important league.
By the way, before we get into our fantasy, Steve, I did check I have Aiden Hutchinson on my bench. In that league, he only got 3.5 points because he only got like 3 tackles. I mean, he did great, but doesn't transfer to stats. So.
That's fair. I didn't think about that. I know fantasy is different too, but just as far as his position, he's like, he's top notch. All right, so let's move on to fantasy. So obviously you guys can see it. We're gonna be switching back and forth, but so I'm pulling.
Currently, I have the most points in our league.
Yeah. So over here on the right, you'll see we did make some moves. So we're gonna look at our waiver wire report. So the first move that we had, which is no surprise because he didn't even want him to begin with. Misclick got him. Gavin picked up George Pickens and dropped Michael Pittman Jr. So
yeah, it was an easy move to make because that was the wide receiver that I was wanting to have deep on the bench. Anyway, thankfully he ended up staying there. I feel like him and Kenny Pickett are going to have a great season together. Michael Pittman may turn into a dog. Anthony Richardson is going to be a pretty decent quarterback in the league, I feel like. I don't know how he's going to do this rookie year. They may turn into a pretty good combination. I don't have faith in it right now compared to what I have in George Pickens and Kenny Pickett right now.
I will say I think it was a good move. I think it was a good pickup. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then the next one we've got is me. I picked up Tyler Lockett and dropped Kadarius Toney. So this was, of course, before the Chiefs game. But even still, like I said, I was not going to play him. I was going to just have him as a backup, just trying to see exactly what him as wide receiver 1 on their depth chart would look like. And now that I've seen that, I'm glad I don't have him anymore.
And it was just his first drop of the week of many, so it ended up being, just a tale of how the week was going to go anyway. There, Kadarius Toney.
But I feel good about that move too because Seahawks. I'm going to root for them, so mostly. So let's look at the next one.
You won't be rooting for them on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, no, I will not. Yeah, you're right, because they'll be playing the Titans. And then another really good move, I think. Jason added Evan Ingram and dropped Brock Purdy. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was say. So I decided to drop Brock Purdy after I was able to get Aaron Rodgers with my very last pick because Aaron Rodgers has a really high ceiling and a really low floor. I feel like this year. So if he starts popping off and Justin Fields is not doing it for me, I can just put in Aaron Rodgers and put Justin Fields on my bench. And I felt like I needed a second tight end. And good thing I did because Darren Waller is questionable this week. So
half the tight ends in the fantasy are questionable this week.
So I have Evan Ingram starting for me this week and going against a worse defense than what the Giants are going up against too. So I feel like Evan Ingram is going to get more points regardless if Darren Waller plays. So I think Brock Purdy could have a lot of points in fantasy this year with the team he's got around him, but I couldn't keep him over Aaron Rodgers whenever I had to pick who I was dropping.
All right, and then next up we've got Matthew, who's of course not here. I thought was kind of an interesting option. I don't know if I would do it, but he added Dalton Kincaid and then dropped Dameon Pierce, but then he canceled it. I'll go ahead and show the next one. He then dropped Dalton Kincaid and added Noah Fant instead.
And that's because he has Travis Kelce and he was out.
Yeah.
So he had to pick up a second tight end.
Noah Fant is a solid tight end. Obviously I'm biased, but he is
No, I agree. He was on the Broncos.
He's a good tight end. The issue is there's so many fucking targets to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be looked at as much as some other teams where he would be potentially.
I think also Dalton Kincaid's probably gonna be tight end too because Dawson Knox is still there, isn't he? For Buffalo. So it didn't really make sense. It didn't really make sense to keep Dalton Kincaid unless maybe he ends up being the better tight end, and then they end up putting him as tight end 1. I don't know, but yeah. At first, when I saw that first movement, I thought it was kind of odd, but then he chose Noah Fant instead. I'm like, okay.
I'm gonna throw it out there that since he's available now, I feel like there is a chance that I will pick up Dameon Pierce because I think he could have a big year with the Texans. He was really good last year in his rookie year. He was my pick for Rookie of the Year or Offensive Rookie of the Year. In the midseason awards. Obviously, he didn't win it, but he did have a very solid year.
He did win the Angry Run Award.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And then the last one on here, we've got Jason added the Ravens defense special teams and dropped Alexander Madison. So,
yeah. Once again, I'm taking the risk. I'm picking teams that are projected or picking like player/teams, since this is a whole defense, that are projected less, which actually I think they're technically projected more.
Ravens are projected more than what you had. So
because they're going against the Texans offense, and we just don't know what they're going to look like with CJ Stroud as their quarterback. So I'm taking the risk that the Ravens defense is going to just stop the Texans offense completely, get a couple of turnovers maybe, and help me out because they can't see it with what we're looking at, but it looks like Ryan is kicking my ass right now in fantasy because of what happened on Thursday night.
Yeah, just because I have my quarterback and one of my big receivers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you're also still projected to beat me by, I think, like a handful of points.
Just 7 right now.
Yeah, so I'm trying to...
Never mind, that's the original projection.
Okay.
It's actually only 4 currently. Projected only 4.
So I'm trying to make up that gap a little bit more, give myself a little bit more of a chance.
All right, and then now I figure we'll just get into the quick matchups that we have this week. So
there's only 3 of them. So
yeah, there's only 3 of them. So right now we've got in week 1, Matthew and I are playing each other, and he was projected initially to win because he had Kelsey, and then of course since Kelsey was questionable, and then of course he didn't play, he switched out Kelsey and played, or is going to play, Noah Fant instead. So this is what our rosters look like, and right now it's pretty even. Like, I'm projected to get 124. Oh, my bad, I forgot to switch screens. Sorry. I'm projected to get 124.4. He's projected to get 120.1 as of right now. And
do we want to take surveys and see who we think's going to win each week or each game?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, this isn't about who's going to win, but I think it's going to be funny that almost all, if not majority of all the Seahawks touchdowns are going to go to one of you two, because you got DK, Tyler, and Noah Fant all on either y'all's teams.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
So unless Jackson, Smith-Njigba get some touchdowns or running backs.
I mean, I feel confident now. I think I was more worried when I thought Kelsey was going to play, but especially with Kelsey being out and him having to put in Noah Fant, which Noah Fant's good, but I just think I have a much better chance with the overall roster because of that right now. But I don't know what you guys think.
I think I'm honestly leaning Matthew a little bit. It's a tight one, I think. I'm leaning Matthew, I think.
I'm leaning Steven a little bit. I could see him winning by about 4 points like he's projected. I think it's going to be really close as well. I also like how y'all's defenses are playing each other.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, based on that, I do think he's got the better chance, because I was kind of not thinking about that. I kind of was hoping for Bosa to be out just because that would be not as good for the 49ers defense, but overall I'm still just, as a fan of the 49ers, I do want to see Bosa in there.
I think it's going to be a good match because you both got, obviously we all do pretty much, but you both have stat QBs. You have a way better running back core, but Matthew has a way better receiver core in general, I think. Obviously, when I say way better, comparative in our league, way better. It's like everybody is fucking elite, but
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue that's going to come up with this matchup is that both of your tight ends' points are going to get sharked by other wide receivers on your roster.
I was thinking the same thing. They both have tight ends that are on teams with stacked wide receiver cores.
I'm saying, because he's got Steven's got AJ Brown that's going to take points away from Dallas Goedert, and Matthew has DK Metcalf who will take points away from Noah Fant.
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting to see who gets screwed
you're
by
also you're riding on the Eagles doing well, Steven, because you got Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Dallas Goedert as your fucking starters.
I did not want to play Dallas Goedert. That was the biggest thing. The only reason Dallas Goedert is in there is because George Kittle is questionable, not looking good for this week. Oh, yeah. I was going to run with Kittle. And then also, I was going to play A.J. Brown, but I wasn't planning on running with Tyler Lockett. I was planning on doing Christian Watson. But then he's going to be out. Like, he's listed as out officially. So I had some hard decisions, and I could definitely see one of these other wide receivers having a better week, but you're just gonna have to take a risk and hope for the best.
That's fantasy for you. You don't really fucking know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and then obviously he's got Kelsey who didn't play, and then I think as of right now I would run with his roster as it is if I was Matthew. So I respect it.
Yeah, like I said, I give the edge slightly to Steven on this one,
and I give it slightly to Matthew.
So
Gavin, you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it to Matthew just based on quarterback matchup. Lamar Jackson with those new wide receivers going against Houston versus Jalen Hurts going against New England is going to be a big one.
That's fair.
I think Lamar Jackson's going to have to come out. He's going to come out and try and show why he should have had receivers like this his whole career.
I think, like I already kind of said this, but I think it's 100% just down to how the Eagles do for you, Steven. If the Eagles do great, you're going to fucking go off. But if they don't, then, you're going to do mediocre to crap.
All right, let's move on to... Wait, how do I actually see the other matchups?
Go to the league.
You get a league or scoreboard.
I'll just do scoreboard. There we go. That's what we want.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, great. Thanks, Ad. Really happy about this.
We're not sponsored by Snickers.
Nope. Hey, man, I wish.
Snickers, not a sponsor. Steelers, not a sponsor.
I mean, they can't see this right now. We're still just on our...
we're on our faces?
We're on our faces right now, yeah.
And ignore the brains I just said.
Just
All right.
bleep them.
Now to the fantasy. Gavin, you're a little bit blurry again. I don't know if you knew.
I know. It's I don't know what to do at this point.
He spread some Vaseline on his webcam.
You look like you're having an interview, but you want to stay anonymous.
I'm not sure why they're like grayed out like this, but this is the matchup. So,
I think it's because it's just showing that you can't like mess with their teams.
oh yeah, good point. So we got Tyler here on the left and Gavin on the right. So Tyler is projected to win 129.5 versus 116.1. And let's look at the rosters. So, what do y'all think?
I see what happened that made Tyler be projected to win by 13 points or whatever it was more, and that being that Jahmyr Gibbs did not get nearly as many touches Thursday night as he was supposed to.
There was a touchdown that he had.
And he fell.
He slipped on the 8-yard line. Not only did that cost me points on fantasy, but it also cost me money from a parlay that I had. So it doubled down to where it screwed me.
If it makes you feel any better, I had a couple of I didn't have I guess it was a parlay, but it was a parlay for prize picks on players, and yeah, mine didn't hit either. I didn't hit on anything. But yeah, let's look at it. Let's decide who would y'all pick on these teams to win.
I mean, if it was a fresh slate and no one had played yet, I would give it to Gavin. But because the gap is so big now towards Tyler's favor, and looking at what's left for Gavin to have play, I've got to give it to Tyler.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's based on what Jason said, since the fact that Gavin's players didn't do great or didn't do amazing. And Tyler, all the quarterback matchup, Burrow versus Tua, I think Burrow's going to do better than that. So I'm definitely going to Tyler as well.
Is Mark Andrews, obviously he's showing questionable. Have we got any word on him?
No, not yet. It's still, as far as I hear, he's like a game time thing.
Yeah, that's what scares me too. I'm also going to go Tyler, but I do think if Mark Andrews ends up playing, I'm actually going to lean towards Gavin. I think it will be close either way, but I'm going to go Tyler.
It's going to be one of those things on Sunday. I'm going to be looking at the news to see if he's going to be playing or not, and there is a chance, viewers, that Kyle Pitts is in that spot for this week if Mark Andrews gets out.
I mean, that would be a solid. I think it'd be a solid backup plan if he doesn't play.
Side note, I like this fucking thing on the right where it tells you the games, what channel they're on, the time, and how many players from this matchup are in each game.
Oh wow, I didn't even notice that. That is
really nice.
Yeah, this over here on the right.
I do like that.
We need an ESPN sponsorship.
So what is YY though? I guess step is like starters.
It's the
no, that's a abbreviation of our names. That's Steven and that's Yugoslavia, or whatever. Whatever Matthew's name is.
Oh, so it's still you and Matthew, okay.
Yeah.
That's just showing the scoreboard for just my team versus opposing team. So this doesn't
Nice.
this just shows us too.
So cool though.
All right, and now let's go to the next matchup.
The best matchup of the week. Am I right, Jason?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so on this one we've got Ryan versus Jason, And of course, Ryan had a couple players play already. He picked probably one of the best wide receivers to grab in this draft, being Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I got him in all 4 of my fantasy leagues too. So
he's a good pick. He's a good pick. And then he of course had Patrick Mahomes, who did get less than projected, but he did lose points because Kadarius Toney fucked him.
Yeah, but I'm happy with around 20 points. Honestly, that's a solid outing. Obviously he's gonna have better games, but
right now it's showing 52-48 with Ryan projected to get 132.5 versus Jason 128.2. But as a group, let's decide who we think will take it.
I mean, me and Jason are in the matchup, so I guess it'd be you and Gavin.
That's
literally true.
Just me.
I mean, I guess we can decide too, Ryan. I mean, why not?
I'm not going to because I don't want to curse it. So I'm gonna.
No, yeah, I think that's fair.
That's fair.
Gavin, you go first, buddy.
Man, oh yeah, you're gonna put me on that. Well, jeez, I did not see.
This is a tough one.
Yes,
this is a very tough one.
And I think Amon-Ra saved you because if I had seen that score by Patrick Mahomes and not seen Amon-Ra getting 20 points as well, I would have probably picked Jason in the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the fact that Amon-Ra got those 20 points, now we have to see what happens. I mean, I have a feeling Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are both equally going to have good games. Does Dak have a good game with CeeDee Lamb is the question now. Flex position, let's see. Kenneth Walker versus Devonta Smith. I'm just going to go Jason on this one. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I feel like Jason might just pull it out. I think the fact that he has so many players yet to play, I like to see how this goes.
I'm sorry, Jason. I'm actually going to go with Ryan here. I was about to say Ryan for some reason.
You don't have to be sorry. I mean,
we're not going to take offense to who you pick.
To me, I think it comes down to Justin Jefferson versus Jamar Chase, and I do think Justin Jefferson, will probably have a better week just because he's going up against Tampa Bay. I do think Jamar Chase and the Bengals are going against Cleveland, and I do think the Browns are underrated this year. I think they are a sleeper team to make the playoffs, in my opinion.
It is funny because I honestly, in another life, it could be the exact same teams, but Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase just reversed on the teams because I was going to go Jamar first. I bet you Matthew still would have gone Kelsey too. So
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It would just be the other way.
I don't know if I mentioned. I don't think it was before the podcast I mentioned it. Yeah, I laid in bed this morning and did about 6 different changes to my flex position. I'm solid on my fucking starters up there, but my flex, I was between Kenneth Walker, T. Higgins, and James Conner, honestly. Like, T. Higgins is great, but he is still technically the WR2 for the Bengals. And James Conner is a very underrated running back, I think, but he plays for the fucking Cardinals. And so I'm not sure they're going to have the ball that much. And honestly, probably a little biased would end up be putting Kenneth Walker on there. Let's be honest. Being completely honest there.
But even with you putting Kenneth Walker in, he's still a solid pick, I think.
Oh yeah, let's say that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think I would. Honestly, it's a fucking flip of a triple coin between T. Higgins, Kenneth Walker, and James Conner for me. And so
it's almost not bad whichever way you go.
Yeah, I just went with the one I like. Obviously, the team I go for the most, so that way I can be super happy or super sad.
I will say I'm also a little bit sad looking at Saints defense because I know who they're playing this week. But
sorry,
I respect it. I do.
I still. Oh, I mean, spoiler, but I went against them in the pick at least. So.
All right. That's it for the matchups.
It looks like Ryan's kicking my ass because of who he had play.
Yeah. But also, it was. I had 2 stellar positions, and you had your kicker. So right now, obviously, I've got the most points in the league. That's just because I'm the only one that's had the quarterback play. Nobody had Jared Goff, obviously. So. And yeah, Patrick Mahomes definitely. I mean, I said 20 points is not a bad fucking fantasy line.
Oh yeah,
but
no, not at all.
It's just not Patrick Mahomes level usually. So,
but anyway,
and also it's gambling on Bijan actually. Bijan hopefully should be good, but
I will say I saw that he got bumped up to RB1 on the Falcons depth chart. So
I didn't know he wasn't. I assumed he already was RB1. I didn't know he wasn't.
I think
he was RB2.
Most people thought he was going to be RB1 by week 1.
He is officially, so I think you're safe. I think he'll get you a decent amount of points.
That running back core at the Falcons pretty decent too. I mean, Algier is pretty good too. So we're gonna see both of them play for sure.
You got fucking Robinson, Patterson, and Algier. So 3 solid running backs for the Falcons.
But anyway, I think we're ready if y'all are to move on to our picks.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Do it.
All right, so we already talked about it last week, but in case you didn't hear, and especially if you're audio listener, we do have like kind of a graphic that's showing how everybody picked. We had everybody pick ahead of time just to cut down on everybody having to take a turn, basically saying the same thing. So now we'll flip to that screen. So now they can see it. So our first matchup, Bengals at the Browns. Obviously, you see we don't have a Gavin on here. He didn't send his picks to me, but he did send it after, and we will include it in the stats. And then Matthew's on here, and he isn't here today, or Tyler. But right now we got pretty much everybody went Bengals except for Matthew. Ryan, Jason, me, and Tyler all went Bengals. Matthew went Browns.
I do. This is completely nothing to do with football, but I like the arrangements of the face shots where me and Tyler have very similar like skin tones and hair colors and beards, and then you and Jason, that picture, both are like very pale and very light haired. It's like fucking like father and son or brother like fucking duos right there almost.
That's a great point. I didn't even notice that.
So I have one thing to say about this game, and that's it. And that is that I almost did pick the Browns because apparently it's Joe Burrow's kryptonite. He's 1-5 against the Browns in his career. So the Browns have his number.
And it's at the Browns, so.
Yeah, I almost did pick the Browns, but
I did consider that too, but I decided to go different this time and actually still go with the Bengals just because that burned me. Last year with the not the Super Bowl, the championship, the AFC championship, I picked the Bengals just because the Bengals have usually had the Chiefs number, and then of course the Bengals still lost to the Chiefs in the championship. But or was it the championship or was it the divisional round? I'm totally blanking on. It was in the playoffs that they got knocked out.
I don't remember.
And that was the whole thing where the Bengals were saying that they're going to Burrowhead and ended up burning them and costing them that game. But I was leaning kind of both ways on this just because I do think, like I said a minute ago, I do think the Browns are a sleeper to make the playoffs. That is a tough division with the Bengals, Ravens, and the Browns, but I do think there is a chance that the Browns will be really good this year. But I decided to still stick with the Bengals. Y'all got anything else to add on that? Gavin, who would you have picked?
I ended up picking the Browns here. I know it's a late pick. Big technical issues over here on my end. So yes, this week the graphics are messed up, but that is entirely on me, viewers. It is not on anybody else. That is just
it's
on,
okay.
It's all my fault there. But I did go with the Browns. I just, like I've told the guys, I've already said it, this week is set up for storylines. And I have a feeling that the storyline that's set up for this week is Sean Watson being back and the Bengals possibly being, just their kryptonite being the Browns, just sticking with that.
Either way, even if I had picked the Browns in the end, I still would have been rooting for the Bengals.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
Fuck the Browns.
Yeah, none of us are big Browns fans over here. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, so we got the Ravens. Sorry, we got the Ravens or the Texans at the Ravens. This was very clear. It's a clean sweep for the Ravens. The Ravens are good. They have they made some great additions to the wide receiver core, and it's the Texans. It's hard to ever pick the Texans, I think.
For me, it comes down to the Ravens team has way more NFL experience than the Texans team does. That's all it is. I mean,
now, Gavin, did you also pick the Ravens?
I did, yeah. It's a full sweep for the pod.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few sweeps on this one. Obviously, as the season goes on, there might be a lot more differing opinions, but at least for right now, most everybody knows kind of where they lie on a lot of these teams. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Like it's another purple versus red team. Once again, the purple team sweeps.
Yeah. We got the
better color.
By the way, I think this by far is the best picture that I got for the stadiums. U.S. Bank looks fucking sweet in this picture.
Yeah, and you ranked them pretty low, didn't you, Steven?
Again, I didn't like the exterior as much as y'all did. The interior was top notch. The Buccaneers at the Vikings, and once again we got a clean sweep for the Vikings. Gavin, you did too for the Vikings.
Oh, of course, I can't pick against them.
We just don't.
Baker Mayfield isn't going to do shit. Let's be honest.
I mean, we just don't know what the Buccaneers are going to look like this year. I mean, no Tom Brady. They got Baker Mayfield starting. Kyle Trask is QB2. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Kyle Trask is QB1 when Baker Mayfield sucks. And after the Vikings season last year, it's hard to not pick them, at least to start the year.
They're good in the regular season. They choke in the playoffs, but you know.
I am rooting for Baker this season. I do want him to have a bit of a career resurgence. I know I'm probably in the minority on that. I just for some reason I still have a love for Baker Mayfield's like cocky attitude. I want to see him be able to come back and bring that back there on the Buccaneers.
I fucking hate that cocky attitude. I hate Baker Mayfield.
Like I said, I figured I was in the minority on that.
I stopped rooting for Baker for anything the second he went around to all of his Panthers players at the beginning of last season and was headbutting them without a helmet on, like a fucking dipshit. So that was the moment I was like, Baker's done. It's over. Like, you're doing stupid shit like that, you're done. But you know what? Maybe he'll surprise us. I don't know. Maybe just being somewhere new for like the fourth time.
I mean, he did great in the Rams last year for a brief moment.
Yeah, he basically got Nathaniel Hackett fired.
Yep. So thank you for that, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
It's the fuck it we ball mentality, man. I think we talked about it last year.
Yeah, he doesn't need time to learn the plays. He just needs to go out there and throw the ball. All right, let's move on to the next one. We got the Panthers at the Falcons.
Okay. Before we talk about it, we have injuries in this game to talk about.
Go ahead.
For both teams, we have the Panthers have ruled out DJ Chark with a hamstring injury, and Adam Thielen is questionable. So that's two huge targets for Bryce Young to throw to. And then on the Falcons side, Jeff Okudah has been ruled out. So the Falcons defense takes a slight hit. The Panthers offense takes potentially a massive hit. So we didn't know that at the time that we picked. So we'll see if we regret it.
We still all picked the Falcons, though. I mean, obviously, Panthers are taking. Or I mean, I don't know about Gavin. What did you pick, Gavin?
I went Falcons on this one.
Yeah,
I think most people would go Falcons.
I think Tyler pretty much picked the Panthers because of Bryce Young. That's my guess.
And he always likes to pick different.
He also just doesn't like the Falcons.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't love the Falcons either.
Yeah, and this comes down to the same thing that I said for the Texans Ravens game. I think the Falcons just have more experience, and now not as many injuries that are going to be game changing as the Panthers. So it was a pretty easy pick for me, honestly.
Yeah, if Tyler was here, we'd ask him, but we all know the answer is just I like the Panthers. And it's also Bryce Young for sure.
Yeah.
So I just can't for the life of me pick the Panthers, at least especially playing away from home too. This is a big first game for Bryce Young. We just don't know what he's going to look like, and especially he's lost some targets. So all right,
Also, I forgot to bring it up when we talked about the Ravens game, but Mark Andrews is questionable. We brought it up in the fantasy talk, but he is also questionable. Just to throw that out there.
All right, let's move on to... Oh, go ahead, Gavin.
But I had a feeling this is the one that's going to be a clean sweep.
All right, so as y'all know from the... if you watched our favorite teams podcast, none of us like the Cardinals, apparently, because they got ranked lowest overall out of all the teams. And, the Cardinals roster is fucking terrible. So we all picked the Commanders. So they're playing the Cardinals at the Commanders, and we all went Commanders.
it's not going to change how we feel about it, but Chase Young is out this game and potentially out up until week 3 for the Commanders. So that'll be something to watch for the next couple weeks after this game. I don't think it makes a difference in this game, but it could in the next couple weeks.
It'll be something to watch when they're not playing Josh Dobbs at the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's an easy pick. The Cardinals are tanking. The Commanders are seemingly on the come up. We'll see about it.
I think Sam Howell will be good this year. For some reason, I have a feeling that he's going to surprise us. Because the little bit they played him at the very end, he looked promising. And I think it was bad that Rivera never gave him a chance until the very end of the season. Which actually, apparently, it wasn't even his idea. It was what's the name? Taylor Heineke's idea to have him play some. And then, of course, now he's on a different team. But I think Sam Howell will be good. So we'll see if I actually pick the Commanders more than I did last year, which was probably none. So,
well, you're already doing better then. Look at that.
Yeah, already. Y'all got anything else to add? We're ready to move on.
No, I think we're good.
I feel like every Cardinals game this entire year is going to be pretty much the same. Just not much to add. Cardinals are going to lose. Then move on.
All right, let's move on to this game. Another sweep. Lots of sweeps this week. We got the Jaguars at the Colts. We all went Jags. Gavin, you going Jags too?
Oh, yeah. No, I think the sweeps are probably going to stick similar this week.
Oh, yeah.
The Jaguars are just they look so dangerous this year. Adding Calvin Ridley to that offense, I don't think the Colts will stop them, but maybe 1 or 2 times the entire game. I think the Jaguars are going to put up close to 40 points.
I think they have a nice established roster, and the Colts are still trying to figure things out. So that was a big thing for me too.
Like I said, Jags are winning the Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl this year. So got to start here. Their journey starts here. Hashtag God's plan.
17-0. You heard it here first.
Hashtag God's plan comes
back.
This
year's God's plan is the Jaguars are going to the Super Bowl.
All right. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered that one. Let's move on to the next one. All right. This shouldn't be surprising given that he's a closet Steelers fan. Go ahead.
Why'd you make the square blue?
I mean, did you want it to be the gray?
I thought it'd be like yellow or something,
Okay, we can make it the yellow.
No, it's fine, Steve. I was just curious. I was wondering, what the.
I think I tried all three of these colors and the black, and the blue looked the best.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it looks fine.
It does. I was just curious.
So the 49ers at the Steelers. All of us picked 49ers except for Tyler, who picked the Steelers. Gavin?
I went Niners as well.
It was 49ers as well.
Yeah, pretty smooth.
Yeah, and this is not to downplay how good the Steelers could possibly be this year. It's just the 49ers are just so good. I mean, they're bound to win 12 or 13 games this year probably.
If Brock Purdy comes out there with any bit of the same mindset that he had last year, this is going to be not an easy game for the Niners to win because I think the Steelers are much better than they were last year. Just like Jason said, I don't think any of us are downplaying how good the Steelers are going to be. Strictly based on how stacked the Niners roster is.
Yeah. Notable things. I know I know Kittle is questionable. So that is a major thing because Brock Purdy does like using him as a target. He used him a lot in the second half of the year there when he actually finally got to start playing. So that does suck for the 49ers, but I still just don't see a way, especially with like Deebo Samuel and obviously Bosa on the defensive side. They've got quite a roster on the 49ers, so I just can't see the Steelers coming away with this one.
I do like how it looks kind of, I know her back is turned, but it looks kind of like Tyler body is that woman in the 43 jersey.
It does. Just looking back at you like, hey, you taking a picture of me? All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, here's one of our teams. So we got the Tennessee Titans at the New Orleans Saints. I was surprised here. I thought there would be more Saints picks because a lot of people are saying the Saints are going to possibly win their division. But again, that is an easier division. But everybody here picked the Titans except for the closet Jags fan, Matthew, who of course picked the Saints.
I think Titans are going to start out strong this year, and just like last year, kind of fizzle out.
Gavin, who did you pick, by the way?
I ended up picking the Saints, but this is where I ran into the issue of the difference between picking against the spread or picking who's going to be the outright winner. Right now, the spread for this game is -3 for the Saints. I picked the Titans on the spread. I feel like it's going to be a really, really close game. But I am going to pick the Saints here just to win it outright, just because I trust Derek Carr right now more for some reason than I would trust Ryan Tannehill. Well, not just for some reason. It's just because I trust Derek Carr more than I trust Tannehill.
I do think it. Oh, go ahead.
So Gavin, you missed the sign though at the NASCAR winner. The winner was number 17, which is Ryan Tannehill's jersey number. So according to Steven, that's a sign.
Yeah.
And Tannehill's going to go off this year. So
fuck, they're going to win the division with.
With that information, I'm sure you want to change your opinion, of course.
I mean, I can't because it would be unfair to the guys that are in the graphic. But I mean,
no, I could actually move people around, but yeah, no. So I will say, yeah. So if y'all decide mid-recording to change, I can just pull y'all to the other side. But I will say one benefit I see is playing Derek Carr at the beginning of the season. I actually would be even more concerned about this game. I still think it could really go either way. But I'd be more concerned if we were playing Derek Carr later into the season because he had more time to build that chemistry in the games with his team. So I actually like that we're having this as a week 1 matchup. But we'll see. He looked the little bit they played Derek Carr in preseason, which was not much, but when they did play him, he did look pretty decent. So
I talked to Steven about it earlier this morning. I think it's going to be a very close game. Just like Gavin said, I would not be surprised if it was decided by less than 3 points. But I feel like the Titans' defense is a little bit stronger than the Saints' defense. And I think whoever can score first in this game is going to wind up coming out the winner. I think it's going to be low scoring, maybe like 17-14 or something around that score. But I could see it going either way, honestly.
I think our defensive line is strong. We still don't know what the Titans secondary is going to look like. They made a bunch of changes in the offseason, but I do think it can't be worse than it was. Because they were literally ranked last in passing defense for yards allowed. So
y'all will definitely win this game if you're able to slow Chris Olave.
Yeah, that's a good point too. But let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to another one of our teams in this one. The Raiders at the Broncos. So I know Gavin, I remember seeing it when you sent the thing. Gavin also went Raiders, so Ryan is not alone on the Raiders pick.
Thank you, Gavin.
Everyone else,
it feels weird being like one big head against all 4 little small heads over there.
And then everyone else went Broncos. So the floor is y'all's. Explain to me the Raiders pick.
All I'm going to say is Broncos are going to Bronco. Let's be honest. I want Russell Wilson to do well this year, but I don't know. Until I see the Broncos actually not Broncoing, then I'll pick the Broncos. And I feel like that makes perfect sense.
It kind of does, but it's not a lack of trust for what the Broncos are going to be later in the season. It's a lack of trust for them being able to mesh right away. I don't know how quickly they're going to come out of the gates with Sean Payton's coaching and everything. I feel like Sean Payton coaches so hard, it's better for him to lose the first game. In all actuality, because then he could sit there and get on everybody's ass and be like, this is what happens when you don't listen to the style of coaching that I preach. So I have a feeling it's just going to end up that way. Once again, and this is another one that's just me betting on the storyline. I feel like Jimmy G and the Raiders are just going to be able to pull out a win against the Broncos, and everybody's going to sit there and talk for a full week about how even they have Sean Payton, the Broncos are dead, and it's just going to be a bunch of that rat poison that Nick Saban always talks about, getting into the building, and Sean Payton is going to use it to turn the Broncos up for later in the season. But right now, I just want to stick with the Raiders.
I fully respect both of y'all's reasonings on honestly, because like Ryan said, if we're anything like we were last year, Bronco's gonna Bronco. It's just that's how it's gonna be. And then, like Gavin said, not really sure if the team is gonna be meshed correctly at the beginning of the year. We may start out slow. We may go 0-5 to start the year for all I know. And if we do, that sucks. It's gonna really suck. But I couldn't not pick my own team for week 1 at least. I picked against my team the most last year by far.
Yeah.
And I was right pretty much every single time. That being said, I couldn't do it week 1. I have to have faith that Russell Wilson is at least somewhat back to his old form. He's in great shape. He looks good. He looks faster than he was last year. And then on top of all the pieces that we gained in the offseason on the offensive line, on the defensive line, the biggest question is our wide receivers. That's scary. I'm not sure how our wide receiver core is going to be. If we win, it's by 5 or less.
This is one of 2 games that I picked this week that I feel like I could definitely easily lose, and I would just be like, oh, well, I knew it possibly could happen going into it.
I think for me I think it's going to come down to how's Jimmy G going to look in the Raiders system. It's a familiar coach situation for sure, but I still just don't know if I think Jimmy G is really the answer the Raiders need. And then also the Broncos defense. I think what's going to end up happening is going to come down to the turnover battle. I think there's going to be a good chance there's an interception that ends up being maybe a pick 6 or at least gives the Broncos good field position. And I think that is why, more than anything, I think the Broncos are going to take it. As a non-Bronco fan, just to back up my boy Jason here.
Right. And I want to clarify, in actual life, I'm going for the Broncos, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
More honestly, yeah. I'm going for Russell Wilson. I just don't think they're going to pull it out.
Yeah, I also want to throw out another way we can secure a win is to slow down Josh Jacobs. He runs over the Broncos every time that we play. So if we want to win, we have got to slow him down.
All right, let's move on, y'all. Let's move on to the next game. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at the New England Patriots. So, once again, we had a sweep. This one I actually wasn't sure would be a sweep.
Gavin, did you pick the Eagles?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I feel like all the sweeps are going to be sticking together.
The biggest thing here is we don't know what Mac Jones is going to look like with an actual offensive coordinator. But even still, I could see... I was actually surprised. I thought there would at least be one person that would go different on this.
Isn't Bill Belichick's wife leaving him too or something?
Excuse me?
It's not his wife; it's girlfriend.
His longtime girlfriend
is leaving him, so he's gonna be sad. He's not gonna do well.
Yeah, he's gonna look just like that emoji on the sideline.
Yeah, he's gonna be crying the entire game. Not gonna be a good coach in this game.
I mean, I feel like this was one of the easiest games of the week to pick for me. The Eagles are, they're going to be not as good as last year probably with the pieces they lost on the staff and on the team itself, but the Patriots are not a good team. They have nothing.
I do think the Eagles offense is just gonna wreck that Patriots defense for me. So that was really what it came down to. I don't know what the offense of the Patriots is gonna look like, but I just think the Patriots defense is not gonna be able to stop the Eagles offense. So.
Let's not forget, I said in the bold predictions, Patriots bottom 5 offense this year.
All right. Anything else, y'all? Ready to move on?
All right. Let's move on. The first time I break up a sweep by the look of it.
Oh, Gavin.
You son of a bitch. Did you take the Rams, Gavin?
I did. I did take the Rams this week.
Hold on. For our audio listeners, we got the Rams at the Seahawks. Without Gavin on the list here, it was a Seahawks clean sweep. But Gavin's saying he's taking the Rams, so let's hear it.
I am taking the Rams.
Let me throw it out. Cooper Kupp is out this week, potentially going on IR. So could be out long term, depending on how bad his injury is. So throw that out there as well.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Cooper Kupp. It's strictly just intra-divisional matchups. And for some reason, I just feel like the LA Rams are very good against the Seattle Seahawks. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, last year the Seahawks' few losses that they had were to the Rams.
Yeah, that is 100% correct. I mean, the Rams are our kryptonite team, and they have been for years. Like, no matter how bad or good the Rams are, I think they have a positive record win in the past like 10 years against us by a decent amount. Like that's 100% a valid opinion. Rams are our kryptonite team. So
can we also appreciate that in this picture for the Seahawks, it looks like the fucking apocalypse is about to start?
I don't think the Rams can go into Lumen Field in week 1 and win. Now, if it was in SoFi, maybe I could understand where you were coming from, Gavin. But it's in Lumen Field. I don't see a way it happens.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But like I said, I agree with Gavin the whole kryptonite thing. But I'm not gonna pick against my team. That's just there was not really a thing. Any thought going into this, I'm just going to pick the Seahawks. I've always picked the Seahawks. I'm going to always pick the Seahawks, even if we're absolute shit. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. So
for me, it was the fact that I think the Seahawks they're going to have to prove that it wasn't just a fluke last year. So that's one thing I'm a little worried about. But also at the same time, the Rams, like I feel like they're still paying for the Super Bowl reach that they had, just going all in. I just don't think their roster is strong enough right now. And I feel like the Seahawks have a really good... I mean, we know they have a really great wide receiver core. It's like probably one of the most stacked wide receiver rooms that you've got in the NFL right now.
And we didn't really lose any huge major like fucking people in the offseason. Like all of our... I mean, we've lost some, obviously, because every team loses some, but we've got all of our people who made last season amazing, really. And we've got now Kenneth Walker and what's his fucking face? I can't think of his name now. Tariq Woolen, who were rookies last year, who had fucking amazing rookie campaigns in their second year now. And so I'm hoping, running back and cornerback, they'll go off even more this year.
Maybe they have a second year jump.
Yep, and now we have Jackson Smith-Njigba as well to add to our wide receiver core. So
and you got
and another quarterback.
Yeah, Witherspoon at corner. That's who I'm looking at this year for y'all.
I mean, I don't. If Witherspoon does as well as Tariq Woolen did last year, we'll have the best fucking young cornerback group in the league. I think
Witherspoon is my If I was just gonna take a random stab at it, he's my pick for defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah,
I
know everybody. I know he's a great player. Everybody loves Sauce Gardner, but I'm still under the opinion that Tariq Woolen should have given more of a thought for the defensive rookie of the year last year. So I'll be very happy Witherspoon got it this year.
All right, let's move on. We got another game with one of our teams in it. We got the Miami Dolphins at the LA Chargers. So this one was a nice little split down the middle. Gavin, are you taking Dolphins or Chargers?
I feel like this is the one thing you could have just went ahead and put my head on because it's just the rule. You have to pick your team for week 1.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a very good game. It's going to be a tough one, especially with Teron Armstead being out. I know Jason's the news guy, but my team, I got to fucking bring up the fact that Tua is going to really have to utilize those judo classes this week.
Yeah.
This game with full sleeve Tua, he's coming out, and MVP season on the way.
All right. Well, just to break it down, so Ryan, Tyler, and I also picked the Dolphins, and then Matthew and Jason over there actually took the Chargers.
I just want to bring it up. Matthew said give him about 15 minutes and he'll be ready to record.
Tell him too late. Don't join in. That'll fuck up our thing. So.
Okay, since I'm the only one that's here that picked the Chargers, assuming that Gavin is going to pick the Dolphins.
Yeah, he said he is.
We already did that.
Okay. I was tuned out for a second. So I feel like this game comes down to how does Tua play, and how does the offensive line play now that Armstead is out. That worries me tremendously, especially with Bosa on the defense for the Chargers. I worry for Tua in this game. They have got to figure out a way to protect him so that he does not get hurt again. because at this point, I feel like he is just susceptible to being hurt if he gets hit. That being said, very high scoring game, I would imagine. I feel like the team that punts first is going to lose the game. If you don't score, you're not going to win, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal. But should still be a close game. I don't know what the spread is for this game. If anybody has it pulled up,
I can check it real quick.
Can't be much. It's probably like a field goal.
Say if it's more than 3 points, I would say the Dolphins are going to cover if they're not favored. I don't know who is even favored in this game.
The Chargers are favored.
So favored by what?
It would be... There it is. Well, that's next week. It is. Dolphins are +3 against the Chargers.
It's a field goal. That's what I figured.
Mm-hmm. See, now that's so hard to decide if the Dolphins cover or not.
Regardless, though, we're only doing just pick the winner.
Yeah. I would say Dolphins would cover. It's gonna be a close game.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a good game. I think.
Oh yeah.
Gavin, did you hear that? Even without your opinion, the Dolphins were the #1 favorite team of the podcast.
Oh, I did. Yep. I did hear that, and it made me puff out my chest of being a fan of one of the best teams in the league. You know.
Yeah.
Just
such a great logo.
Seahawks could have been up there, but a fucking old Packer Matthew over there, you know.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next game. We've got the Green Bay Packers at the Chicago Bears. Gavin, who did you pick?
I went Packers, so it's an even split on the pod.
It's a 3v3. So on the Packers side, you got Gavin. We've got Ryan and Matthew, of course, being the Packers fan. And then this one was hard for me. I initially had the Packers, but because of some notable absences, which I'll let Jason get into in just a second, I went Bears. I went Bears. Jason and Tyler also went Bears.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Packers are going to be missing Christian Watson at least. They may also be missing Romeo Doubs. And if that's the case, I don't know who the heck they're going to throw to. I mean, it's not a... what is the word I'm looking for? Not a very fair first start for Jordan Love.
I also think their main tight end that they're going to be throwing to, if they throw to a tight end, will be Luke Musgrave, who is a rookie. So we don't know what he'll look like either.
Yeah, and with all of those things, factored in, I was leaning Packers. Now I'm leaning kind of heavy to the Bears. With Justin Fields trying to have a breakout season, having DJ Moore to throw to, I don't see a way the Bears lose this game.
I thought what I saw out of Justin Fields throwing to DJ Moore, the little bit that he did play in preseason, looked really good. So I think that's why I took DJ Moore in the draft. I don't have him as a starter right now, but I've got him on standby in case he ends up breaking out with Justin Fields.
I think you guys are forgetting. They do have Jair Alexander on the Green Bay Packers.
That's true.
They do.
He has the ability to shut down any #1 receiver on a roster. So now it's going to come down to who else is Justin Fields throwing to, and can his feet get it done against that Packers front seven? Which
I guess Darnell Mooney would be his other main target, which isn't great, to be fair.
We'll see. This is an interesting one.
I feel like this is like Gavin has said, I feel like this is another storyline game, and I see the storyline being the Bears are back. Jordan Love is not the answer at Green Bay. That's not true.
Still own the Bears.
That's not true what I just said, but that is what the storyline I feel like will be after tomorrow.
I feel like this was the coin flip, and so I just went Packers. They don't really have a good reason behind it. Just went, But I was like, I don't know who to go for. I'm just gonna pick one of them, and I picked one of them.
Even despite all the injuries and stuff, I think if this was being played at Packers, at Lambeau, well, yeah, at Lambeau, at Green Bay, I do think there would be more of a. I think I'd be more tempted to still take the Packers but they're playing at Chicago. I won't say at Bears because apparently that's not
Soldier
okay to
Field
say.
is what the word you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say I'd be tempted to go the other way, but since they're playing at Bears at Chicago at Soldier Field. And they literally on this graphic, it's green. It's Packers at Bears. Like that's not that weird of a thing to say.
Steven, the fact you just kept on doing it. That's the thing after that made it funny. It was like a little like the phrasing of at Packers was goofy, and then you just expanded on it so much and didn't just ignore it. You just kept on going, but
yeah. I don't think that's that weird, but whatever.
He said at Bears, at Chicago, at Soldier Field.
Yeah. I covered all three.
The Bears or at the Packers is the way that most people would say it. Whenever you say at Bears, it just sounds like there's a bunch of bears that are just
okay. All right. Let's move on.
We're playing it at Bears.
All right. So let's move on. Now we've got
graphic, Steven.
Shit.
We've got Sunday Night Football. We've got the Cowboys at the New York Giants. So
now I feel uncomfortable because I also pick the Giants.
Ooh, you're siding with Tyler, Gavin.
With Tyler.
So right now you got for the Giants, we've got Gavin, but then we've also got Tyler, and then everyone else went Cowboys.
To be fair, Gavin, Tyler was heavily leading the fucking podcast in picks last year, beginning of the year. So,
but then he dropped off hard.
Oh, he did. Say Tyler's like the Titans. He's great at the beginning, and then he goes fizzles out.
I just think
that was literally the only time that's happened was last year. Literally, they got the one seed the year before, so the Titans are not bad.
No, that's the storyline. Every year, Titans fizzle out.
Yeah, no.
Every year, except it only happened once.
Yes. All right, so let's hear it, Gavin. So what's your opinion for taking the Giants?
It's just the opening game jitters. I like MetLife Stadium for the Giants whenever it comes to home field advantage. I feel like Giants fans are going to come out buzzing. Everybody's been talking about the Cowboys this offseason. Everybody's been talking about that defense that they've got, how stacked it is. There's a lot of things that sound like they should go against the Giants, but I feel like the home field advantage is going to kind of swing this towards the Giants' way. I have a big faith right now that Danny Dimes is going to come out and do just enough to keep the ball out of Dak Prescott's hands. And I feel like Dak Prescott is going to do way too much and give it up to the Giants. I think he's going to start his trek onto his 10 picks over right here in this game. I think he throws 2 picks.
Interesting. You know, I want to bring this up. It's not in our league, but in my other fantasy league that I'm doing with work, for some reason, a guy on my league had Dak Prescott and dropped him to get Bryce Young, and I always thought that was kind of an odd choice. And I didn't put him as my starter, but I have him as my backup. I went ahead and grabbed him off waiver wires because I'm like, let's see if Dak can actually be good this year and not throw a fuck ton of interceptions. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I just think the Cowboys roster is still just a little too good for the Giants here. But I do think this will still be a close game because I do believe in Dayball. And y'all know I am a closet Giants fan. We discovered that in the favorite teams thing. But yeah, I do like I think this is a good pick for the Sunday Night Football game too. This will be a good game to have on primetime.
Yeah,
I think this is also another one you could have just went ahead and put Jason's head underneath the Cowboys logo for week 1, since that is his second favorite team.
Not. The 49ers are my second favorite team, Gavin. The Cowboys were like 12th. But the Cowboys defense is just too good. Daniel Jones sucks, and the Cowboys defense is too good. Darren Waller is questionable, so he may not even play. I mean, it's just all, I feel like it's all leaning Cowboys.
We'll see what Saquon Barkley looks like, too. That's another interesting thing to keep up with. How Saquon will look versus the Cowboys defense.
Yeah, it'll probably look like a running back.
I mean, he'll look like a good running back, I would hope. But, all right, let's move on to Monday Night Football. This is probably another big storyline game right here. We've got the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets, or New Jersey Jets, if we're focused on the cities here. So this was actually another split. Who'd you go with, Gavin?
It is another split. I did go with the Jets.
Okay,
Ooh,
so
23.
50-50 split here. You got Ryan, Jason, and I all taking the Bills, and then Matthew, Gavin, and Tyler taking the Jets. So, who would like to start?
I feel like it's going to be a good start off for Aaron Rodgers. Somebody pointed out to me Josh Allen has historically had his only terrible games against the New York Jets. They have something lined up and cooked up for him every time that they play him. He's always able to get shut down. In fact, if you remember correctly, 2 years ago when the Jets were drafting, they drafted Jermaine Johnson because they said they wanted to be able to catch the quarterback out of Buffalo. They draft their defense specifically to stop Josh Allen. Now, with the addition of Aaron Rodgers, this is another storyline game that we're talking about. I know I keep bringing it up this week. But I have a feeling Aaron Rodgers is going to have a great start here in New York, and it's going to lead to a big victory right out of the gate.
I feel like it's going to be maybe not opposite, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to struggle for a little bit. Probably not the whole game. He'll probably pick it up in the second half, but his first regular season game with a new team may have a little bit of first game jitters with the new season starting, and then the Buffalo defense on top of that. I know they're missing Von Miller, which is a big part of their defense, and knowing that he's out almost swayed me to pick the Jets.
Me too.
I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Bills will pull it out in the end, maybe by a field goal or maybe 6 points.
I feel like it's going to be the Jets this year are going to, or at least the beginning maybe, are going to be similar to the Broncos last year, and that you get this big name, amazing quarterback who's had an amazing career moving in, but he's had the same institution for the past 10 years of his career, and now he's switching to a completely new area, new fan base, new all this other stuff. It's not going to go as well everybody thinks it is because it's just Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, yes, but it's old Aaron Rodgers. And it's a new team and everything. And I think it's going to be Russell Wilson. Not maybe as bad as Russell Wilson was last year, but I think it's going to be a similar situation of the whole Russell Wilson to Broncos thing.
There's no way it's as bad as Russell Wilson was last year.
I mean, probably not, like I said, but it's still. I think people are just getting hyped up because it's exciting and new because Aaron Rodgers has played for the Packers forever and now he's in the Jets.
I'm going to pretty much agree with pretty much everything Ryan and Jason said, but just to add on, it's a sign because of this picture. Look how sad these Jets fans look at this. Hope maybe that's a sign that that's what they're going to look like when Aaron Rodgers is out there. But yeah, that's pretty much the same way I feel, is that just the fact that he was literally at Green Bay for so long, and then now he's in a new system, and obviously he's got some familiarity with Nathaniel Hackett and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think he's just going to have a little bit of a slow start. Aaron Rodgers will.
That's fair enough.
Let's move on to the final game. Obviously, this is going to be the first game of next week, but because when we record, we include Thursday Night Football on this week. So the last game to cover. An interesting one that I did not think would be a sweep. Now, Gavin, who are you picking? Vikings at Eagles.
Hilarious is Gavin definitely forgot that we pick next week's game, so this is now the first time I've even had to think about this. Just going based off the top of my head, yeah, fuck the Vikings. Let's keep that sweep going.
All right, so we've got the Vikings at the Eagles, and it is a clean sweep for the Eagles.
It was really a toss-up for me. You know what? I'm gonna switch to Vikings.
Okay.
Because we established the favorite teams. Vikings are my number 2 team, and since they have nobody, they shouldn't be clean sweep. I don't think the Vikings should be clean sweep. So I'm gonna switch to Vikings just because of that fact.
All right, let me just
make me very
confident. No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's purely on the fact. Like I said, I think this is another kind of like toss up. I was given the edge to the Eagles because they were at Philadelphia Eagles, but I decided I just don't want Vikings to be clean swept. So
look at these logos, though. I got to say, the graphics are mint right now. I'm
yeah.
really digging it. This is
Steven,
awesome.
you did a great job on this PowerPoint in general.
Who did we hire to do this?
Don't give me that much credit. I probably spent hours just trying to find a picture of every team like from the stands that wasn't blurry as fuck when I copied it over. So, yeah, it worked out well. This is probably one of the better ones too. Like I think this was one of my top favorite ones other than the Vikings one at home. Yeah. But yeah, so Ryan's alone for picking the Vikings, but I respect it. I really, like I said, I did not think this would be a clean sweep beforehand, and obviously now it's not. But
it'll be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything. Like I said, the Eagles I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year with all the pieces that they lost.
I am also still worried about the fact they lost both of their main coordinators too. That's my main concern for the Eagles, but at least starting out week 1, I'm going to just trust that their roster is still good enough. But that's what I'm worried about later on in the season.
Yeah, I see this game being high scoring, and in the end, it's probably going to be a touchdown game, a touchdown difference in the score. Just the weapons that both the teams have on offense are insane, with the Eagles having Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and the Vikings having T.J. Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson. It's a high-scoring game. There's no way it's not.
I think probably next week's top game.
Yeah, it very well could be, honestly. I could agree with that. I don't know what the games are next week, but
I appreciate the fact of they picked, in my opinion, I think they picked the best primetime games for this week, though. I think they did a good job picking the games. Now, depending on how these teams look, maybe that doesn't end up being that way. But
we haven't seen this team play yet. So.
But at least for right now, I think just based on looking at it, they picked the right games. So, all right.
I'm in agreement with that as well.
But as usual, I'll keep up with the stats, and after, of course, week 1, I'll include some additional graphic that shows how we're doing standings-wise. We'll compare for both this standings for this as well as standings for the Fantasy League, and we'll see how we look throughout the season. Maybe I'll once again have a lead and then blow it at the very end. Who knows? But especially this week, there's not a lot of people going away from the group, so I don't think there's going to be that big of a range of points scored, I guess. Mm-hmm. That's it. Y'all got anything else to add, or are we ready to call it a podcast?
I think we call it a podcast.
All right.
Call it out, man.
Gavin, you want to take us out again?
I'll take us out, man. Thank you all so very much for listening. I know I am just a blur right now, but thank you all so very much out there for listening and continuing to follow along with this podcast and the growth of it. If you could, please be a friend, tell a friend, share us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you do social medias. We're trying to grow a better audience so we can give a better listening and viewing experience for you guys. Thank you all so very much for letting us penetrate your ear holes today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Give us a like for the handsome blur above me.
Yeah.